Enter with your trusty sword. Oh boy, I wonder what it could be. What? What's going on? What? I got an enchanted sword! Alright, so what did you just see? You just saw this monster in action, which is my redstone command block enchanting table. Basically what this is it is a random enchanter that is very highly controllable. So on things like custom maps and stuff, you can highly customize it to give the exact enchantments and the exact odds you would like. Now, this is pretty advanced compared to most of the stuff I've shown on the channel. I tend to try to stick to practical redstone, but with command blocks, I feel like it's okay to step outside of that, because they are something you'd only be using in creative mode anyway. I don't have to worry about costs and stuff. So I'll just kind of explain how this thing works for the advanced people before I show a step-by-step tutorial on how to build it. So what we have here is what is called piston tape memory. And simply, basically piston tape memory is it has translucent blocks and solid blocks, and redstone will only pass through the solid blocks. So what this allows you to do is create instances where signals can only pass through to the other side in certain instances. So the way this works for the random enchanter is the more wool blocks instead of glass blocks I have here, the more likely it is that you will get the enchantment. So down here we have a bunch of wool blocks, and these are the low-end enchantments. And over here we have the high-end enchantments, which only have a few blocks of wool, so they are much less likely to happen than these ones over here. So it works pretty cool. I really like the enchant command being added in, because it allows for us to do this type of stuff. Now, if you want to work with enchant commands, I'm not going to go over that explicitly in this video, but basically the way it works is you type /enchant, the target, the enchantment ID, and the level, and if you go look up enchanting on the Minecraft wiki, you can find all the enchantment IDs. And so the way this works is you step on this pressure plate, it activates, where is it? There it is. It activates a command block over here. I have it put on a delay so you can't spam it and get the same enchantment. And that command block teleports you into this little iron casing. And this iron casing is far enough away from the pistons where you don't have to worry about them being loud and obnoxious. And so what this does is it sends a signal down here, and it sends it to these repeaters, who in turn send power through these blocks, if possible, to the command blocks. And then we just have this little timer over here, which goes to a teleport command block that sends you back over here to the little altar that you started in. Alright, so the only thing I'm going to show how to build, since I've talked about command blocks and stuff, and I don't think I need to explicitly go over how to teleport people in here, the main thing I'm going to go over is how to build one of these piston memory tapes. And then once you have piston memory tape built, you simply just put your repeaters on here and use them to read through. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is lay 6 pistons in the ground like this. Now, you can add more rows of tape here. It is expandable. So instead of having 6 here, I could add 7, 8, 9, 10, however many of these pistons you want to accommodate more enchantments. And also note, I'm going to be building one a similar size to this. However, if you want to put more command blocks on here and make it more random, you could make the piston tape taller. So how many rows of piston tape and how wide and tall the piston tape is totally up to you, and that's going to affect the number of command blocks that will fit on it and its overall randomness. Now I'm doing a smaller version of it just for compact sakeness, and so I'm just going to come over here by, we'll say 5 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go over a couple more. And, whoops, that's wrong. We will lay another couple of pistons like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so these pistons are going to push to these pistons, who will in turn come up here and push to these pistons. Let's see, I probably want it to be up by 1. So that's 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3. Yep, there we go. And then I will want to do a similar thing over here. So these pistons will push to these pistons, who will in turn push up to these pistons, who will push to these pistons over here. So let me just build the intersection. Now, because in the demo builds of this, where I was testing this idea, see, things like this would happen, where I'd be off by 1 block with the pistons. So what I've started to do is build guide blocks like this, so that I know that this piston correctly meets up with these pistons, which correctly meet up with these pistons over here. Alright, so now that we have these guide blocks in place, this next piston will have to push down to push the tape into these pistons here to complete our little circuit. So I'll just go ahead and put 1 in, and then there's 3 on this side. That's 1, 2, 3, and then there'll be a 2 on this side. 1 and 2. There we go. And that means that all of our pistons are now in place. Now the next major part of this is the tape. Now if you come on this one over here, you'll notice that only one of these pistons have a set of blocks on it at a time. So we can just go ahead and use that and say that this will be the starting pistons, and they will have the first set of tape on it. And normally what I like to do is I like to make the tape all glass first, and once it's all glass, I can go back in and put in solid blocks to make the odds, to increase the odds as I feel necessary, because like I said, the more blocks you have, the more likely it is to get that particular enchantment that you have set inside the piston memory tape. So you just want to build this around, and remember that only one set of pistons will actually be touching a face of blocks at a time. Alright. There we go. And now we just have to bring this bottom row up. Alright, so as you can see here, these pistons aren't directly touching any blocks, these pistons aren't directly touching any blocks, those aren't touching any blocks directly. These pistons right here are the only ones directly touching blocks right now. So remember, when you make your tape, only have one set of pistons directly touching blocks at a time. Alright, so I've gone ahead and put some colors in here so it will be easy to tell once this thing starts spinning. Now what we're going to build right now is the drive mechanism it's going to be the thing that rotates these blocks. So you're going to want to put 4 torches in the ground like this, and then you're going to put 4 pistons. Now notice how the pistons are, there's a gap between each piston. That's necessary because we need to put repeaters in here, and these repeaters will connect to the adjacent piston like so. And we'll want to slow these down a bit because how fast these are determines how fast the tape will spin. And now if we just put a block in here, you can see that when a block is on a corner, it gives this repeater power, which in turn powers this piston, which in turn pushes that solid block. And you'll see this kind of looks like a mini piston tape set. And you'll want to note the order this rotates in, because you'll have to match that order when you go to wire it up. So what do I mean by this? Let's say that we're going to use this as our first one to wire up over here. So we go ahead and run it out and connect it up to these pistons like so. There we go, need a repeater to make sure it goes all the way. Now, you'll notice that this piston pushes the block into this piston, and likewise, these pistons push into these pistons down here. Now that's important to note because you have to match the orders up. Since this is the next piston here, this is what needs to send a signal to our next set of pistons down here. And of course, always throw in a repeater to be safe to make sure that everything gets power. So now we have 2 of them powered up, and so that one pushes to that one, which pushes to this one, which is this redstone signal, and these guys push up here. So then this next redstone line will be going to this set of pistons. Whoops, dang it. Broke my piston. Alright, there we go. And now we just have to bring this down. And now we have to bring it back up. Oh, okay. Luckily that went far enough. Okay, and finally, this block pushes to this piston, which is powered by this redstone. And so that means this redstone has to come out to that last line of pistons that has yet to be hooked up. So let's go ahead and bring this wool across. Like so. Alright, there we go. And we shall bring it up, and of course repeater to ensure we don't run out of juice. And there we go. It's all wired up, and you can see it's rotating. And you can tell that by my earlier derp of not having the signal extended all the way over here, it's offset this whole row by 1. Now, you may look at this right now and say, well, this doesn't seem terribly random because it's really just rotating the same combinations over and over. Now, how did I fix this on my machine to help make it random? Well, what I did is, this is a nice little T flip-flop I have here, and so what this T flip-flop does is there are certain sets of tape in mine that only rotate every other time. And so while you're technically still not getting perfectly random enchantments, it does, you know, about double the number of possibilities. Now there are actual random ways to do this, such as using minecarts passing over pressure plates at different times, traveling at different speeds. However, I like this method because, like I said earlier, you can replace the glass with wool accordingly and 100% control the likelihood of outcomes. Okay, so, also, my friend Sigils had an idea for a enchantment system using minecarts, so I will put his link in the description, and check out his channel because he should be posting a tutorial in the near future. So the next thing we need for this piston tape is command blocks and a redstone signal for the command blocks to be read. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put the command blocks in on this topmost layer here. And then all I simply do is on the layer below them on the outside, I put a series of blocks with a series of repeaters to send the signal through with, like so. Alright, there we go. And now you just need a way to activate it. So we'll just put another layer of blocks in here and fill them up with redstone. And once you do that, you just need to bring it out. I always like to put a repeater before it goes into the command blocks to ensure it doesn't just randomly run out of juice. So then all you would need to do now is wire this up to some sort of redstone power. For instance, I'll just throw a torch down here, and you'll see that the repeaters feed power into the block and thus into the command block. So if we just wait, you can see that if a signal's going through while there's a piece of wool next to the command block, that the command block will activate, as you can tell by our nice little command block there, saying hello to us. So of course you would just replace that say hello command with your enchant commands of choice. So that's really it. It really just functions around piston tape memory, and I really like it because of... I really enjoy it because the piston tape memory allows you to precisely control the odds that an enchantment gets chosen, and it's also very versatile. It can be as big or as small as you need to get the job done. I hope you guys like this video. I know it's a little more complex than what I normally do, but I hope what I did mostly made sense to you guys. If you did enjoy this video, please consider commenting, and subscribing to see future builds from me on the Tinkerbox. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you very much for watching and all of your lovely support. Toodles!